7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Welcome to Black Noir Radio.
Hello. How you doing? Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching us. If you are part of the replay crew, I want to say thank you to you as well. You understand how much we appreciate you. I am your host, Alistair, and I'm co-hosted by...
Beefy, your shit-talking squirrel friend.
Hi, Beefy. How you doing today?
Oh, we Gucci, bro. We Gucci.
You know, we have this, the storm Ophelia. Well, it's Ophelia.
Whoa. Hold the F on.
Mm-hmm.
If people don't have an open mind, what can they do, friend?
Oh, right. If you don't have an open mind, get there.
Fuck out of here.
Right, because we talk about anything and everything.
Yeah, boy.
That's the second time I forget about saying that. Do you want to know why?
Like the fifth time you've forgotten.
Is it the fifth time? You know what? Because
Yes, boy!
I assume, you know, because I guess it's in the back of my mind, in my automatic brain. Can't believe I have to say it out loud, but you're right. I guess I have to say it out loud. Second time, fifth time, 10th time I forgot to say that, but no. Always keep an open mind. Someone will offend you. You'll offend someone tomorrow. Perfection is boring and impossible. Yeah. So about that storm, Beefy, you know, the storm is all the way down in the south, and I live in New Jersey, and we're not even getting we're only getting the fringes, and it's a disaster. So I can only imagine what the Carolinas are experiencing, because if you live in the Carolinas, please be safe, because that storm...
Yeah, I got a couple of friends down there, and
You?
they're battening down the hatches.
You see, we're nowhere near. Like, we're only getting the outer edges, and it's so much rain.
Yeah, I'm
global
even more
warming.
north than you, and yeah, I
You
just
have
even
some
taken the
rain?
dogs for a walk earlier, and it's like it's all rainy and nasty and windy, and yeah,
No.
the whole East Coast is feeling it. You sound sleepy, my friend.
Well, I just took a nap. You know, I am raising a child, so I woke up from a nap. I went to my midday nap. I took it about 3 p.m. and then I told the alarm to wake me up at 5:30. Can you believe it, Beefy? I told the alarm wake me up at 5:30. You probably would have been so pissed off, because I wanted to get as many minutes as possible.
You cut it close. Wow.
But I woke up before that. My anxiety woke me up before that, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, time to go downstairs." Yeah, I was like, "No, 5:30. I'm gonna make it here at 5:30." But
Well, you should feel good that a midday nap is typically something that most a joy that most parents can't afford. So, congrats on that. You're doing something right.
Yeah, sleeping is the best thing ever.
You got a good hubby that will let you take naps.
My mother-in-law came and fed us. You were on the phone when I talked to you.
Yep.
You know,
Bringing you a sandwich.
she barges in whenever she likes. It's an open door policy here for family and friends. Yeah, friends just send me a text. Family just walk in, and she just walked in. She was like, "I got your food." Oh, thank you. And then
That's so wholesome.
Look, then she so when she came, she only watched Olympia for a few minutes. How dare she? But no, she came, and then she made a gin and tonic, and she just sat down in the chair, and she gave us one. She was like, "So how's your day?" I was just like, "Good. Thanks for the gin and tonic." And then she was like, "Okay, gotta go." Then,
Man, gin and tonic, that is like it's an old-fashioned drink. It reminds me of like
just went to the bar, made herself a drink. Do you want some? Me and Chris were like, sure. Yeah, sure, Mom. Yeah, sure. and we just
And
ready
a
to
little day drinking. Why the hell not on a
Why
Saturday?
not? I know. What a complete disaster. And
No
then
wonder you took a nap. You
yes,
sucked down a
and then
gin and
Chris
tonic, and you're like,
and then Chris was like,
oh.
my mom shouldn't have given you the drink. I was like, it's your mom's fault. And then yes. And I slept it away.
Surprised you weren't looking for a little afternoon delight after sucking down a gin and tonic.
She
Oh
went
yeah,
to
but it's
Target
your
after.
mother-in-law was there. Yeah.
She went to Target for grocery shopping and she's back home. Can you believe that? I was like, how random.
You're over there looking at Christopher with your gin and tonic, giving him the afternoon delight eyes, the hubba hubba. Let's take a nap together, baby.
Yeah, don't forget, you still have to do that. You know, you're married.
Yeah, well, you have to keep it alive. Story for another day.
Only for save it for another day.
Yeah, that's for a different podcast. Yeah.
For the OnlyFans channel.
Yeah, your members, your YouTube members. Yeah.
OnlyFans. Never. All right.
We're not monetized. Yeah, you'd have to pay for that kind of content.
Nobody will pay for watch anything. Now get out of here. Last question from me, Beefy, and then I'll let you take it away. How have you been since? Because you're also very tired this week. And usually you're not tired like that, but you were very tired this week.
Just kind of feeling burnt out. You know, I think I was trying to do too much too fast, and yeah, just going through a hump. Happens to the best of us, you know. I'll get there. Okay. I'll get my gumption back, you know.
Are you over the hump, or you're starting to climb the hill, or you're?
I feel like I'm starting to climb out of it. Like today was the first day. Like I cleaned my own house, I took my dogs for a walk. You know, yeah, I felt like I'm finally on the upswing. You know.
That is awesome. Congratulations, then. Then I'm glad.
We'll see. One day at a time.
One day.
But yeah.
One day at a time.
You ready to dive into this? There's all kinds of new stuff about this Delphi thing, and we've covered it. So we have an obligation as true crime aficionados to therein follow up. So, do you have your ready pants on?
My ready pants? I'm wearing my PJs. Look, you want to see my pants? I have my ready nap PJs on.
You wore the blazer today. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys.
You want to know what I came down here with? My sweater.
Wearing the outfit. You came dressed and ready to party.
I came down with this, darling. But because I have the uniform down here, I was just like, you know, I undressed into the sweater, into the jacket. Yeah, but no, I came down here full pajamas. See? It's just being honest.
Oh, you look great. You look great. Dressed to the nines, my friend. You always look good.
Oh, thank you.
All right, though. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
So as of Monday, September 18th, this was just, 5 days ago? Some new bombshell evidence has been dropped in relation to the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Our alleged murderer, Richard Allen's attorney, has filed a 132-page motion to suppress in an attempt to get a key piece of evidence of the state's evidence thrown out. This filing was then obtained by the media and has now since been released online. And, you know, as with everything else, once it's on the internet, you know, once the internet has it, it's fucking everywhere.
It's the end.
Yeah. In these 132 pages were some absolutely insane allegations, but more importantly, there are details from the investigation which we for sure need to talk about.
Yeah.
Before we dive in, though, we need to talk about a pagan religion called Odinism and how it relates to white supremacy, because the details of which will become very relevant to these filings. Do you know who that is?
Of course. It's Odin. By the way,
it's Odin!
I love Norse gods. You may not know this. You know, you guys, I'm obsessed with ancient Egyptian culture, right? And I'm obsessed with like Norse mythology. I'm not an Odinism person, but I love all of that ancient historical stuff. So look at this beautiful picture of Odin, and love it. Continue.
Same. I'm very fascinated by Norse mythology, but Greek, Roman, Egyptian. I just find all that stuff very fascinating.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, Nordic in particular, they have like that God of War game on PS4 that's all surrounded in Norse mythology, and man, I was just
Christopher loved that game. That's his
Thor,
game.
Odin's son. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Norse mythology or who Odin is, I'm sure you are probably familiar with the Marvel movies. And there's Thor. Thor is one of the Avengers. His father, played by Anthony Hopkins, is kind of who we're talking about here. It's Thor. Odin's son is the son of Odin. So what is Odinism? Odinism is a belief centered around Norse mythology. This is what's called the runic alphabet. But more importantly, Odin, the Norse god of war and death. Although Odin is symbolically at the forefront, it is not a religious belief system centered around Nordic mythology. As much as we may both love it, they aren't actually praying around Odin and talking about going to Valhalla. Instead, Odinism actually originated during the Germanic Balkish movement, which was a precursor to Nazism. Born from a combination of Germanic Romanticism and the glorification of the Holy Roman Empire, it's very much a belief system centered around Aryan nationalism, i.e., like white supremacy. We're talking anti-Semitism, racism, Aryan supremacy. It's just it's hate, right? It's just hate is very much the spearhead of these beliefs.
Yeah.
Now, you might be asking yourself, how does this relate in the murder of Abby and Libby? Well, in the early 2000s in Indiana, a white supremacist group called the Inlander Social Club was formed and ended up getting a rather large following. Although by the mid-2010s, membership had kind of largely been filtered out, it very much had infected the prison systems of Indiana, more so leaning into Odinism as a form of white supremacy due to the religious exemptions that prison systems are forced to adhere to. So basically, there's this skinhead faction running rampant in Indiana, and although they kind of have largely died off, because of the unique infrastructure that exists inside prisons and jails, it's all segregated by a race. Like there's the white culture and the black culture. They do everything according by race. They eat together. The whites eat together. The blacks eat together. Blah blah blah. Because of this religious intersect that is infiltrated the infrastructure of jails, these skinheads shifted their quote unquote belief system towards Odinism in an effort to seek out religious benefits while incarcerated. So, according to these filings, several references to Odinism in Norse mythology were found at the crime scene, but more importantly, Alan's attorneys are presenting on an alternate theory of who killed Abby and Libby surrounding a ritualistic sacrifice in the name of Odinism. It sounds fucking wild, but it's legit what his attorneys are filing as their alternate theory as to what happened. They're saying Alan didn't kill the girls. They were sacrificed in the name of Odinism. Yeah. So let's go through these 132 pages. We're not going to go through all of it. But let's start with the crime scene for one, mainly on how these filings describe the bodies of Abby and Libby and how they were found. So according to the filings, when police discovered the bodies, Libby was laying flat on her back. So Libby's over here on the right. Libby was laying flat on her back with her right arm along the right side of her body and her left arm stretched above her head, touching the tree. A large branch was placed across her chest, over her shoulder. This branch extended above her head and below her legs. Two smaller sticks formed a V where her legs joined. Both sides of the V extended upwards towards her head, and a fourth and final branch extended across Libby's body in a line from her right shoulder to her left. Just a few feet away from Abby, at an angle, are Libby's legs. Their heads are just a few feet apart. Abby was on her back, with elbows bent and her arms placed on her chest. Abby's left hand and arm near the left side of her face. Right hand is near the right side of her face. Abby's left leg was straight, while her leg was bent at the knee. Her bent right leg was under her left leg, and tree branches placed on top of Abby formed the shape of an asterisk. So that's what we're seeing here, right? It's just basically exactly how they described it. Although we were initially told that the girls were found naked, according to these filings, Abby was found wearing Libby's clothing in two sets of bras. She's wearing a black bra, which was believed to be hers, and a gray sports bra, which is believed to be Abby's. Libby's cell phone and her shoes were found under the body of Abby. So there's like all this crisscrossing going on. Like, Abby is wearing Libby's clothes, and then Libby's cell phone is found under Abby, and it's like all over the place. Like the way this, we heard in the initial time we covered this, all this staging going on at the crime scene, and there's a lot of speculation as to what that meant, but we really didn't have a good idea. We just kept hearing, oh, staging, staging, and staging.
Yeah.
And with these new filings, we're finally getting some details as to exactly what this staging looked like. Although we were never told about the means of death, it was largely speculated on that they had been shot because the firearm removed from Alan's house was key in the arrest affidavit.
Mhm.
However, according to these filings, Abby's throat had been cut, and her blood was found on a tree marking with this pattern. Does that look like anything to you?
The galaxies, the stars, a constellation.
I don't really see that.
Let's see, 2 eyeballs and a mouth, so a shark.
I don't think so. So these are the sticks. Does that look like anything to you?
Well, that's from the alphabet of the Norse gods, right?
What? Holy shit! Wow, that's fucking awesome that you did that. Yeah, so that's what they are speculating is going on here. Is that the staging is in relation to this Odinism? Remember this alphabet we showed?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking at here. I put this together because it wasn't part of the filings, but this was best I could.
So JHZF.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, this was kind of the best that I could. They're saying that. What?
What do you think they were trying to say?
I have no idea. It's just like the ramblings of a madman.
Like the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah. There you go.
Let me tell you something. This is too random.
Charlotte's saying she's saying that about the blood that it looks like.
Right.
Nice.
This is too serendipitous to be not true. I have a feeling that there's definitely some truth into these allegations.
The Odinism thing. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we'll get into kind of my theory at the end of it, but let's continue on here with what they are alleging in this memorandum. Ultimately, it's a motion to suppress. They're trying to remove the gun, but we're going to get into that here in a second. More importantly, beyond the connection to Odinism are some of the details surrounding these bodies. Like, okay, I have a real issue with the clothing situation, right? Like Abby is wearing Libby's clothes, so that most likely means the killer dressed her posthumously. I mean, it's possible, right? Like with a gun pointed at her, he just put on her clothes. But like, okay, but then the 2 bras thing, that leads me to believe that like she was dressed. Like you're gonna, that just it's so strange.
Well, they were sexually assaulted, correct?
So we didn't have any evidence of that. That was what media was speculating on. It was no
lab of sperm swab.
Nope.
So how did it come up to that? Was there evidence of trauma? And
there was speculation from media that these crimes were sexually motivated because they had told us initially they found their clothes like way further away. So obviously the bodies are naked. Oh, it must be a sexually motivated crime. Most of the time when you hear children being murdered, it's to keep things quiet. Like it's people who want to sexually assault children. I hate this is like so graphic, but they're hiding the evidence after a sexual assault is typically what you see in like children being kidnapped or whatever. Not always, but it's like the modus operandi of these types of attacks.
Yeah, that's very true too. Look at us being detective beefy. Don't mess with us. Look at that.
But I mean, like, think about it, right? It's a hard feat to accomplish by yourself, like redressing a body. Like, and furthermore, like I've always wondered about this because, like, even at gunpoint, trying to wrangle 2 girls is going to be pretty hard. Like, at some point, he's gonna, whether he's stabbing her or shooting them, there's gonna be the inciting incident of one of the actual murders. And, whether it's girl A or girl B, second girl is going to go off running. You know what I mean? Like, granted, these are little girls, but still fight or flight's going to kick in. And this is a grown man. So they're not going to try and fight him. They're going to take off running, fight or flight in the face of a grown adult. They're going to flight, they're going to leave.
Yeah, they're going to flight.
So, like, a lot of the evidence in this case is always pointed towards 2 assailants. According to these documents, the defense is naming up to 4. None of them have been charged yet, but even still, like, that's a real problem for the state because they're claiming Allen committed these crimes alone.
Yeah, that is a real problem with the state. And you know what? Another thing also is that the fact that we are fighting this from the defense and not from the prosecution is
Yeah.
quite significant.
That's the significant part in all of this and why they are pushing for the gun to get thrown out. Like, the entire motivation behind the filings was to have the initial search warrant for Allen's house thrown out due to what is ultimately like a Brady claim. Here, let's just take a look at this.
Exactly.
Not only did the prosecution withhold that letter from the defense, but law enforcement also withheld several other exculpatory pieces of evidence, including an 85 compilation of reports by Click, that's an investigator, Inspector Click, prepared in 2019, and several videos containing statements that support the defense of Richard Allen's innocence. This 85-page report detailed the investigative work performed by Click, Ferenczi, Murphy, and others, including the FBI. So, just to summarize, let me get on screen. Just to summarize, there was a lot of evidence pointing towards these other 4 assailants and this whole Odinism thing. Like, they really looked into it. It's what most of these filings are talking about, is all this evidence surrounding Odinism and these claims that somebody else was the killer. And there's a lot of evidence that was hidden by the state alleging to that, which that's a Brady claim, So for anybody that doesn't know, a Brady violation consists of evidence being tossed out due to exculpatory or impeaching evidence being hidden that would ultimately prove one's guilt or innocence. In this case, right, all of the information surrounding Odinism and the 4 people named in the motion were hidden from the defense. Ergo, the initial search warrant wherein the gun was obtained that led to Allen's arrest would just, like, they have a really good argument for that to be thrown out.
Yeah.
This is. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you mind going back to the initials again really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, right there. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go on a speculation here. If these names were initials for the first names of the killers, so we have J for Jimmy Allen, correct? Right?
No, it's Richard. It's Richard Allen, right?
It's not Jimmy?
Yeah, Richard Allen. Yeah, no, Richard Allen.
Damn it. All right, well, here goes my theory. All right, next. It's going to be like, well, these are initials of murderers. All right, never mind. Let's continue. Yeah.
Okay. So this whole Brady claim is problematic due to what is referred to as fruit of the poisonous tree. Like my little photo there.
First of all, a lot of apples.
Yeah, they look tasty, especially in fall time. Don't you love just like a good fall apple?
Look at that, nice and
dude.
red.
I haven't gone apple picking in a fucking minute. Sorry, but yeah, in a minute, dude.
It's because you're grown up.
That's so fun. Yeah, you take the family out and you toss the apples at each other. When I was kids, my mom used to take us and we used to pick these apples off the tree.
You would throw apples at each other?
Yeah, we would whip them at each other. I remember my brother would I would get like huge bruises from the apples that we get in like apple fights. And
oh wow!
I remember I caught one in the leg that my brother threw like as hard as he could, and it was like
painful.
It hurt. Yeah, it like exploded into a little like apple. Anyways.
Ow!
Yeah, sorry for another day. Okay. So anyways, if the gun is thrown out, right? So that's what we're talking about here at this point. If all of this information ends up leading to a Brady claim, and the gun they obtained during the search warrant is thrown out, the entire case basically falls apart.
Exactly.
We don't know much beyond what was provided in the initial search warrant. It was the gun and the confessions that was in the affidavit that led to said search warrant that basically led to his arrest. So, more or less, this whole case gets thrown out if they get what they want with this filing, which is what they're looking for.
It's going to be thrown out.
It's very possible. Yeah. On April 3rd, 2023, Richard M. Allen made a phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen, In that phone call, Richard M. Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. Investigators had the phone call transcribed, and that transcription confirms that Richard M. Allen admits he committed the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. He admits several times within the phone call that he committed the offenses as charged. His wife, Kathy Allen, ends the phone call abruptly. I can't fucking talk. Abruptly.
Yeah. Look, that's also quite significant, right? So it's almost like if I was a jury, it would be a trial, because I'd be like, I don't know.
So that's very astute of you, right? And that's what I was about to say, was you probably asking yourself, right, if this guy confessed, it has to be him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not necessarily. There's a legitimate argument in these filings that Allen was coerced into a confession. We're seeing more and more cases getting thrown out based on false confessions. It's actually more common than you think.
Yes.
Like you think that a confession is end all be all. Like, why would you ever confess something you didn't do? But there are a lot of legitimate circumstances where people in the right mindset or, situation, the right,
of course,
put all the pieces together, where they would confess under false pretenses. And in prison, surrounded by what we're going to find out are some pretty offensive and aggressive COs, is like the ultimate environment for.
Oh, we're gonna find that out. Okay, I cannot
that's
wait.
what we're gonna get into right now.
Oh wow.
The court will also learn of this memorandum that blank were seemingly always by Richard's side during most, if not every visit. Normally, corrections officers were within earshot of every conversation between Richard and his attorneys and between Richard and his wife, close enough that Richard would have to be worried about any conversation with his attorney and his wife being overheard by blank or other correction officers. They're naming a certain correction officer.
A certain person, yeah.
So again, it was reported that Allen confessed to his wife a staggering 7 times. However, the defense is alleging that the COs in the jail are basically forcing him into making these confessions. The evidence shows that during his pretrial incarceration at Westville Correctional Facility, Richard Allen has been monitored, intimidated, and mentally abused by correctional officers who are also members of the Odinite cult. 2 of these correctional officers are named blank. We don't get their names. These Westville correction officers boldly wore patches on their Department of Corrections uniforms that proclaimed, quote, "In Odin we trust," along with another patch displaying symbols of Odinism, interlocking triangles. And that's what these patches supposedly look like.
God. And look at the American flag there. What's that desecration?
It would stick out like a sore thumb. I don't know how much stock I believe it.
So
furthermore, go ahead.
So go back to the last slide. There's something that really struck me even before I knew all this happened. Mr. Allen looks like a completely different man from the moment he was put in jail to the moment where we're seeing him move about. He looks like he lost 1,000 pounds. He looks like he is like a complete different person. So now when I see that there's an affidavit that alleges that correctional officers were intimidating him, stressing the hell out of him, I can see why he wasn't sleeping, and I can see why he looked like he was being mistreated. There's a physical difference between before he went to jail and shortly after he entered his confinement. 2 different.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen just so people can kind of see what you're talking about. So here we have this is the picture of him. Can you see?
Yeah, I see very clear.
So this is Richard, like when he's been arrested, right? And it almost kind of does look like a man who's being tortured every day. Like he's just looking all aloof. He's got the stain on his shirt. He's all skinny. He looks like he's out of it. You know what I mean? Like he has no idea what's going on.
Yep.
And then we had kind of the picture of when he goes in. Look how chubby he is. You know, he's a man who's well fed.
Chubby, he has life in his eyes, and if you look before, look at that. That is such a different man. So you might, you might ask yourself, but he's guilty. He's guilty. He's guilty. So he's depressed because he got caught. Okay, fine, but that usually takes some time for you to progress into, I guess, a worm, you don't just metamorphose to a worm as moment you enter into the prison, because he changed so quick. He changed so quick.
Yeah. Okay. So furthermore, it is alleged that these white supremacist CEOs would record conversations of Al and his attorney to ensure that he wasn't backtracking on said confessions. So let's just read that last one. Correction officers even required that Allen be positioned facing the window where the correction officers were videotaping the attorney visits within the handheld with a handheld camcorder. The positioning of Richard Allen's body would allow the correction officers to videotape Richard Allen's mouth as he talked to his attorneys. Richard would therefore not be able to privately discuss anything with his attorneys, such as, "The guards are telling me that my wife and family will be killed unless I call my wife and tell her that I killed those girls." Wow.
Let me tell you
wild
something.
stuff.
Yeah. The fact that the attorneys, because they're the ones who wrote this, right? That means he was able to tell his attorneys the truth.
Eventually.
Which means that if the wife and daughter do get killed, then there's a validity into what they're saying, which in turn protects his wife and kids. And it's such an outrageous claim.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know how much stock I put into this theory. I mean, like, COs wearing white supremacy patches on their uniforms, it would be pretty unprecedented. Like, it almost sounds like something you'd see in a movie.
It'd be like something you see in a movie. But you know what, Beefy? That's not a corrupt precinct is real. I think I told you there was a big shakedown in West New York, New Jersey. The police station there, not the current one, but before that, they were having a prostitution and gambling ring using laundromats, and it was the entire precinct. You call 911, they were drug dealers, and they were selling the weed. They were doing all this stuff, and it took one single officer who was cooperating with the FBI to bring the whole operation down, but everybody there was involved. So,
what do you guys think in the chat? Do you put any validity to what they're saying here? I think it's a pretty bold claim. I don't know. So John Bubba, he actually does work as a corrections officer.
Oh yes,
and he's chiming in here. Okay, I am calling possible BS on the patches. Every prison I ever been in, you could not wear a patch of any sort that's not uniform approved.
Mm-hmm.
I say possible because they could lie about the patches, meaning or different rules, regulations, but I ain't holding much stock. Yeah, so he's basically agreeing with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Psychic, welcome, by the way. I don't know if I've ever seen you in here before. Odinism
I love
did
the
it.
red hair.
And, is that Brave? I think that's a Brave
That's
logo.
from Brave. Yes, that's from Brave.
Yeah, got a fellow Disney fan in the house.
Shows. Oh my god, I'm so honored.
That's a movie. Oh yeah, I'm a big
I know
Disney
it's a
fan.
movie.
Actually, it's
like you have
it's
a very
funny.
similar interest. Brave.
I just got into collecting those cards, Lord Pana.
Wow.
I've been buying so much of them, dude. I'm chasing this one Enchanted Bell card. It's worth like fucking $300. I've just been opening so many packs of Disney cards trying to get this one. Anyways, story for another time.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Psychic says Odinist did it, and Odinist also work in the prison. Bit of a stretch for me. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But you know what? Either way, it's these allegations are so ludicrous that they cannot go ignored. They will have to look into this very thoroughly.
Yeah. Lucy says this better not be a case of making an arrest to fake a win.
I hope so too, Lucy. But apparently, this has been going on for so many years. But Beefy, even if you remove everything, the fact that the bodies were laid in that particular position, in that particular situation, we should have known about this. The prosecution, the prosecution, not from the defense.
Well, the defense should know about it. We necessarily shouldn't because we're the public. Like, it just happened to get leaked. But the defense definitely should have had that information.
Should have had that information. For me, that's the foundation of the prosecution. And if that's off, then everything is questionable to me.
I think it's pretty clear at this point that, not only did the district attorney's office make some pretty massive F-ups by not providing this information to the defense, there's even worse bungling of the crime scene during the investigation, which is in these reports. Do you remember these guys?
I remember them. Yes.
Yeah, Carter and whatever.
Yeah.
Captain Carter, the guy who we so lovingly refer to as
Yeah.
Officer Badass. Well,
Officer
it turns out Delphi police really didn't do a very fucking bang up job as far as the investigation is concerned.
Is that
According to
according
these
the
filings, yeah, basic rudimentary level police work was not done at this crime scene. Like photos weren't taken of like key evidence, samples weren't taken. The branches on top of the bodies, according to these filings, some of those branches look to have been cut by a sawzall or a saw of some sort. And there weren't any photos taken of the ends of these branches. And like, why not just take those branches as evidence? Like, that's a key piece of fucking like.
Yeah.
And again, the tree with the blood on the side of it, that's vital fucking evidence. Like, it could be a handprint or a fingerprint. Like, we don't know where that blood came from. Take that bark off the tree.
Yeah.
I forget what YouTube video I was watching, but they had a police, somebody who works as, he was like a retired detective on the show, and he was like flabbergasted by some like basic police principles that were not followed. Just like, it's like the rule book was thrown out the fucking window, according to some of the stuff that's in these filings. It's insane.
Yeah.
So not only is the district attorney's office taking massive L's according to these filings, but so is the police department. It almost like makes you wonder if there is some validity to what they're saying. Like,
I see.
Like, like for you to take the levels of incompetency, it's like, well, what's the motivation there? Because if you were a clean nose just trying to investigate this, you would follow the rule book and just do things step by step. It almost seems like they're trying to cover some shit up.
Yes. And also, you know what? In the details, they talk about how they're very specific. The defense is very specific of the guy's positioning, earshot of, facing the window so they can read the lips. All of that, it's probably going to be on camera. So the internal investigation is going to be done fairly easy, very quick. Even the patches, as Boba said, that's can also be easily checked if they look at the cameras and such, right? But I feel like they would not put it pen to paper if the defense didn't double check on it. Am I correct, or am I?
Yeah, I mean, one would assume, that like internal affairs or whatever, based on what's being alleged in these documents, would have to follow up on what was done.
Exactly. Like if I was a defense lawyer and my client says to me, they punched me in the face through interrogations, I'd be like, oh, they did? All right, I'll take notes of it. And I'd be like, can I please see the camera? Like, I'll double check. I wouldn't just be like,
yeah, I'm sure that, if there's any legitimacy to it, we'll hear more about it.
Right. And then it's like, oh crap, they did punch him. All right, well, I'm going to write this in the letter, right? Because my reputation and my work is on the line. So I would do my internal investigation before I put it in a stack of paper for the judge to see, right? Yeah. So that's why I'm like, oh boy, it's hard to deny the allegations because it's so far-fetched. I don't think someone would not double check before they put pen to paper and show us to the world, right?
Yeah. Cat's chiming in here. I know former CEOs, their uniforms were specific. Nothing political, religious, nothing that wasn't approved was allowed. No CEOs or outside people should be allowed to be part of lawyer-client time.
Yeah. You see, so
exactly, I could have an American flag pin on my chest, maybe a cross, but nothing more. And again, Bubba works in CEO land, so
you guys, from what you guys are telling us, for sure, there's a specific rule book of conduct. So this internal investigation will be quick and over with because it'll be easy to see
in a second.
All right, so
it goes even further than that. Like, I have more we're about to get into. This investigation and the handling of the evidence after they made the arrest has just been a bungle, and it's really the only way to say it. It's been bungled. Most of which is surrounding these sketches. Remember these things?
I remember.
This was the original sketch presented as the suspect back in 2017. And according to police, Alan is BG, Bridge Guy. The sketch actually looks, he kind of looks like Alan. Remember the picture we just looked at with him being arrested? It's pretty close. But then what's up with sketch number 2 then?
Yeah. What's up with this sketch? Exactly.
Like, what the fuck happened here? This looks nothing like Alan.
This is not only nothing. This is a random. This is like random guy walking down the street.
Exactly, and so that's why I think there are two killers, because like these. All right, we're gonna play a clip here from Court TV, but it turns out there's actually a lot more evidence than we thought, leading to the fact that there might be multiple killers, and this whole sketch debacle very much leans into that. So it's about 10 minutes. We'll pause along the way to offer commentary. What do you think, though, about this whole sketch thing?
No, I think you're dead on. I think the sketch is suspect, but then again, you know, like we have to give the margin of error to the person who's drawing a human face based on chatter, right? But no, I think there's more than one person. If this is true, there's clearly a cult. Oh my God, cults. That's why I never open the doors to strangers. Who are you? Scary.
Okay, let's check this out.
All right, there's part of this Delphi case that has always confused me, and I never really understood it. Right? That's a video, and that's what they've been telling us. This is the killer. This is a video of the killer taken by Libby. Okay, amazing that she did this, but that's the killer. Despite the fact that we have video of the actual killer, we also have sketches of the alleged suspects in this case. Let's put it up on the screen. February 2017, this was a witness description to the sketch artist of a man on the Monon High Bridge. And this is, again, February 2017, the month that it happens. White, about 20 years old, brown curly hair with a medium build, okay? And that was the sketch artist put together. Now, in the papers, again, that the defense has filed, they write, the Unified Command, again, this is the investigative agency running the whole thing. The Unified Command did not release the witness sketch to the public for over 2 years. Instead, they first released another witness's sketch called Sketch 1. The other sketch was illustrated by FBI sketch artist Plants from Detroit on June 19th, 2017, and released to the public July 17th, 2017. Roughly 2 years later, in March of 2019, the witness met with Tony Liggett, frustrated that her sketch number 2, the one on the right of your screen, had not been released to the public. Witness was frustrated because sketch number 1, which had been released almost 2 years before, did not match the man that she observed on the High Bridge. The witness even commented that sketch number 1, the one on the left side of your screen, is wrong.
Wow. That's fucking crazy.
Do you see? That's insane. That alone, again, that's another damper. Prosecution, what the hell were you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of little things like this where it's like, what the fuck? Like, why? And there could be good explanation for it. You know, we're going to find out here that these filings are the tip of the iceberg. And I think a big part of this is we just don't know what the evidence looks like. Like, they've played this so close to the chest. This looks fucking terrible because we just know nothing. Like, they haven't told us shit.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. If you're making a sketch based on the comment of a witness and the witness tells you that's not him, you got to go back and do it over again. Like, I don't
that's what they're saying.
That's released.
That's what they're saying to us, though, is technically sketch 2 was drawn first, but released second. So they do sketch 2, then they do sketch 1, done by 2 separate witnesses. So for whatever reason, they think that sketch 1 is more valid than sketch 2. So even though sketch 2 is drawn after, I'm getting myself confused. Even though sketch 1 is done after sketch 2, they release it first.
And sketch 1, the witness says it was wrong. It wasn't even it was not correct.
So again, there's 2 separate witnesses for each of these sketches. Sketch 2, the witness who did this, says sketch 1 is wrong. Correct.
Yeah.
Now, March 2019, the witness description to law enforcement. The man on the Monon High Bridge, slender and youthful, boyish, in his 20s to 30s. His hair seemed poofy, no facial hair. You know, looks like a young Justin Timberlake, for goodness sakes. Now, also from this defense
JT has entered the
memorandum,
chat.
on April 22nd, 2019, the Unified Command, the investigators, released the witnesses' sketch number 2 to the general public. In fact, upon its release, Superintendent Doug Carter commented that the man in sketch 2 was responsible for the murders. Also, at the time of the release of sketch 2, Doug Carter also stated that sketch 1 had now become secondary to the investigation. All of this totally confusing at the time, and I think even more confusing now, because that sketch of the one who looks like Justin Timberlake doesn't look like Richard Allen and doesn't look like the guy in the video. What's going on here? I need some help. Joining me in Orange County, California,
going on
the author
here?
of Forest for the Trees, a book about the Delphi murders. Investigative producer Chris Todd is with us, and in Jacksonville, Florida, retired FBI special agent Jennifer
that
Hoffenhofer.
hair.
Great to have you both here. Chris, is this the strangest part of this whole investigation? I mean, there's a lot of strange parts, and we've learned much more now. But how do you make sense, or can you make sense, of the sketches, the descriptions, and what the defense is now alleging?
This is one of the strangest cases I've ever been involved in, for sure. And a lot of people have worked on this, a lot of podcasters, journalists, Leos, and a lot of people in Delphi in this community know the work that I've done and the people I've worked with. And these sketches, they don't look anything alike. They don't resemble, actually, BG at all. And I'm
When you
not
say
gonna talk
BG, you mean Bridge Guy, right? Bridge Guy in the video?
Yeah, Bridge Guy. Everybody calls him BG. And I've already said who Bridge Guy is, and I will stick to that. And I don't believe Richard Allen is Bridge Guy, and I don't believe he ever will be. So these two sketches look nothing alike. They're from two different, or multiple witnesses actually gave differing, just like the trail witnesses said someone was in all black or they're in all blue. This case is a circus. I'm just going to say that. And I do have some bombshell information for you today, Vinny, if we get to it.
Oh,
Oh,
if it's a bombshell, we'll get to it. But we'll have to wait. That way people keep watching. That's the way we do it, Chris, here on television. All right. Jennifer Hoffenhofer, your thoughts about the way these sketches were handled and released? Like, why do you get a
This guy's great, by the way. I love him, and he does have bombshell stuff. He's not just blowing smoke that we'll hear at the end of this.
sketch in February and then not release it for 2 years and then tell us this is the one? I don't understand that. Why would you do that?
Well, I think the important thing is understanding really how these sketches came about. The first sketch was actually taken not only from witness accounts, but also from really the video of Bridge Guy as best that they could ascertain what he looked like. And that was released. And if you look at that sketch.
And you're
it
talking
looks
about the
so
one
much
all the way
like
to the
Ron
left
Logan.
now? Are you talking about the one all the way to the left of the screen?
Yes, the first sketch.
Well, we got
The
to, I don't
first
want to call it
sketch.
first and second, because I think the boy one was the first one done, but the second one released. So when you say first sketch released or first sketch that's sketched?
Apologies. The first sketch release, not the boy.
Okay,
Not
gotcha.
the Timberlake.
Gotcha.
All right. So if you look at that sketch, it ended up resembling the FBI subject in this matter, who was Ron Logan. There was a whole affidavit written about him and the fact that they believed he was the prime suspect in the case. If you look at the second sketch, which was released late, but as you said, made earlier from a witness statement, that came about almost 2 years after, as you pointed out. Why did it come about? The FBI at that point had removed themselves from the investigation. There were issues between two different ideologies in terms of who was the suspect. And so they released this new one looking for new leads.
oh my God.
If you live in
So what a mess, right? Basically,
Yeah.
they're saying that they were going down one route at the beginning of the investigation, and then for whatever reason, whoever's in charge of it thinks that we should go down another route. Like, they completely pivot to what they thought was going on. So that, for example, they think that guy on bridge This is just my theory right now. Let me play this so we can see
Massachusetts,
this
and you're a
sketch.
National Grid or an EverSource customer,
Pause it real quick. Let me give you a little trick if you want. If you want to, so what you do is you remove the video from the StreamYard thing, and then you mute it, and then you play it in the background, and then you disengage the commercial, and then you bring it back.
Oh, thanks.
Little trick.
Anyway.
Hello, hello. Tricky,
So-
tricky. Yeah.
Anyways, so what I think happened is they thought that Bridge Guy was the murderer of the girls, and then at a certain point they think that sketch number 2, who looks like the young guy, the Justin Timberlake, for whatever reason they think that he's actually the murderer. So
Yeah.
Bridge Guy, they think at some point actually didn't commit the murders. It's just the guy on the tape. But sketch number 2 is actually the person that murdered the girls, which again points itself towards what? Multiple suspects.
I always
Now-
thought the first sketch released. I thought when they got that guy, I was like, yeah, that matches. But even that first sketch, the witness says that wasn't even correct. So that just puts even the first suspect questionable. Everything is a mess except that woman's hair. Look at that hair. It's perfect. Perfect. Right?
Well,
And
it's good for the defense because really, they don't need to prove that it was somebody else. They just need to instill enough doubt
yeah,
for what do they get? The burden of proof.
right.
They just need to instill that enough of a little bit of doubt in
They're
one
doing a
juror
good
to
job.
think that maybe it could have been somebody else.
They're
And
doing a
boom,
great job.
he gets off. Yeah, they are.
Because if I wasn't a jury, I'd be
I
like,
was
oh,
a
Yeah, who's this guy's lawyer, by the way? Is he a fucking public defender? Because this
I don't
lawyer
think
team is
so.
kicking ass.
he's kicking ass. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, doing a really good job.
prosecutor. This is like oozing of reasonable doubt. I'm not saying that they arrested the wrong guy. I don't know who did it. I wasn't there, obviously, right? We got to see and hear all the evidence in court. But I know the way trials go. And once they start putting these different sketches, and they do like we did, and they put the sketch next to Richard Allen, and then none of it makes sense. None of this makes sense to me. So what do you think, Chris, about the eyewitnesses? Who do the eyewitnesses help in this case, or are the eyewitnesses, does their testimony conflict with one another to an extent that these descriptions become meaningless?
I mean, I'm looking at this Frank's motion a little bit, right? The Sons of Odin and all these. I think that's where we're at this second. There's many witnesses. There were a lot of people on the trail that day, a lot. And other names keep coming up.
Yeah, let's not mention any of them. We're not.
No,
I'm just letting the folks at home know that we're not mentioning names purposely. I tell them every night because there are names that the defense is naming, but we specifically are just not doing it until there's more information out there. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is this Frank's motion is where the case is at today. This is the most important thing. The defense is creating this scenario of other people looking at other people, this ritualistic pagan ceremony. And this has been going on since day one with Tony Klein, Kegan Klein. These names, everyone said these names. But I'm saying is, so today, this case is moving at 1,000 miles an hour. This is bombshell information. And I understand what the defense is doing, but I'm just going to say this to you right now, okay? The runes, this writing in blood on the tree, I'm not buying any of it. And I have multiple sources that you know too. I have a lot of people on the inside on this investigation. I'm not buying any of it.
That's fascinating. Now, Jennifer, what we talked about in the
Let's pause it for a second. Again, I really like this guy, and he's going to get into a little more some of the research that he's done. But there's a legitimacy to what this guy's saying, because if you look at what these branches are, right, it could have just been crap that blew onto the bodies. You know what I mean? Like it could just be random sticks. And this little symbol that's supposedly an F, that could just easily be a guy putting his hand on a tree, wiping his hand off. Like who knows why that blood is there?
Well, we don't have. Is there a picture of that symbol?
No, we only have the description of what's in the.
So it's like, yeah.
But this could just as easily be sticks that just fell over to the bodies. What leads them to believe that it's purposeful really is, or I think, the 2 sticks at the top of Abby's head, they were cut with what looked like a sawzall, or that's what they call it in the reports, but a handsaw or whatever. So that almost kind of strikes it as like, well, what the hell? That it must be purposeful, but I don't know. I have just as much doubt as this guy has that there's really any legitimacy to this Odinite thing. It's just I don't know. It's a little far-fetched for me.
Well, you know what? Because it's so far-fetched, we're gonna find the answer to it very quickly. There's gonna be a solution quickly because this is a easy to 1, 2, 3. Let me check your costume. Let me check the camera. Okay. Well, let me check this.
The defense is alleging that the FBI BAU behavioral unit said this was consistent with some sort of Nordic ritual. Like, how did they come to that determination? Are you buying it?
Well, the behavioral analysis unit with the FBI, they have a huge database of cases that would have been similar. Now, remember, this wasn't the first Odinism type murder. There were 6 cases of crimes, I should say, where the individuals were Odinism. And the most famous one occurred in 2011 in Norway, which was a horrible mass murder in a school. And so in any event, they are going to take some of those markers, if you will, and look and do some comparative analysis. So BAU is actually quite good at this. I had numerous cases when I was in the Bureau that I sent to them, and I said, these are the clues I have. Can you?
Of course, she's going to sit for FBI. She is FBI. And I almost wonder at a certain point, like, how much of this is local police versus FBI. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a certain layer of that going on here.
Was that something that you heard of? Is that something of this? Did you ever come across this Odinism? Was that something that you heard of? Is that something that you investigated in the area?
I heard about, and the murder sheet's right, these rumors were coming out right away. Within the first year or 2, there were rumors of these runes. I get writing from fans or audience members and sleuths. They keep driving this to me. The sticks were in a certain way, and this is Odin, and this is Germanic. And I'm like, and look, I can't say too much of how I know about crime scene photos, autopsies, photos of the bodies. I can't say too much about that. I'm just saying I understand what's going on, and this happens in a lot of other cases. I'm just calling it hogwash. And I challenge anyone, show me the photos of this rune and blood and these sticks. Show me.
All right, our guests are staying with us.
He
When
just
we
wants
come
to
back,
see
we're
it.
going to talk to Paul.
I would too.
Thinking about going solar, but not sure whether it's worth it for your home? Well, before you get...
And
my thing just blowing up during the commercial break, so let's do it. You got a bombshell for us tonight. What is it?
so I believe that when on Libby's footage, her phone footage, it's a lot longer than we've been told it is. And I believe that when we hear guys and then down the hill, those are not the same person.
Why do you believe that?
Can't really say too much, but I can guarantee you tomorrow I'm going to have a few people very angry at me.
Wow. That now gives that now we're talking about 2 people. So
I have way more than that, but if I say this other stuff, it'll light the town on fire.
okay, let me ask you this. If it's not the same person, are you saying there's more than one person at the scene and attacking?
There is more than one killer, absolutely.
Why would you say that?
Jennifer,
1 second. Why would you say that the police will knock you on the head? Because now that I heard that, that's it. Set the man free. That's it. I mean,
That's why he's saying I can't say anymore, or people are going to be very mad at me
But
because it's basically
whatever
saying,
he
like,
just said
it's-
is enough. If I was a defense, I'd be like, "Oh, look at that! I'm running another motion," because your prosecution situation is done wrong. You can't
Yeah.
just target my client. Yep,
And
yep.
that's exactly what he's alluding to when he's saying there's going to be
Look
people
at
very
that.
mad at me. He's basically saying, like, I have inside sources at the police that have told
Why
me
would you
this.
say that? Because now he's going to be subpoenaed. Show me what you got. All of it.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Why?
So Lucy says, why would they only film that much, make so much, and murderers leave the cell phone? That's another
Yeah.
good point too. Yeah, like why would you leave a cell phone? Period. It's like it almost makes you think like maybe they didn't know she had it, but
No,
then
they
again,
didn't
they
know
found
she
it. Well, they found it underneath the body.
Well,
So
you know,
if they're staging their body and they're moving them around and picking up this one and bringing it that way and they got to dress it,
Wasn't
how would
it-
they not see that phone?
Well, was it one of those small phones? Was not the big. It's not like my phone. Like this,
No, she was on
like, you could see it, right? But isn't
the
it?
photo of Libby that we have right before they get murdered is from Snapchat. So it was very much a smartphone.
Was it a smartphone?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was one of those kitties' smartphone.
Yeah, maybe. And Lucy's saying the same thing that he's saying, that there's more video. Yeah, and I think so too, that it's a lot longer than what we've seen.
Well, maybe the killers were they forgot. It takes a lot to kill someone and then dispose of the body. I'm sure they
This
forgot.
is starting to sound a lot more and more like the satanic panic. Yeah, there is like a certain element that's right. Like, oh, it was Odinism and white supremacists and the devil, and they're all coming to get us.
Oh wait, is that a real thing? Booba, is that a real
the satanic panic. Yeah, it was basically like every crime that happened in the 80s was surrounding Satan, and like so like
wow.
the West Memphis 3. The whole reason those 3 kids got convicted was surrounding the fact that they thought they were Satanists, and it was a satanic ritual of why they killed the. Yeah, it's so dumb.
How exhausting. Oh wow.
It's basically like bored white mothers at home claiming that everything is tied to Satanism. It's just like, ugh, get fucked. You're not living in reality.
I love that expression too.
Oh yeah, you said that last time.
I love that makes me giggle. Get fucked. I'm like,
yeah, I mean,
oh.
kind of there you have it. I mean, it's interesting. It will, it'll be interesting to see what comes of the motion to suppress. I mean, like I said, if the gun gets tossed out, basically it all gets tossed out, and Alan will likely get off. Like they won't have much more to present for the jury to convict him. Like again, it was the gun and the confessions. So I can't wait to see the trial filings, like the the 103 pages or whatever. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The task force, the people that were working on this whole Odinism thing, they must have assembled a shitload of information during their investigation. I mean, we saw there was 4 different inspectors that were going at this full time, this whole Odinism angle.
Wow. Well, let me tell
There's
you,
probably a ton more evidence that we haven't
probably a
even
ton
seen
more.
or heard about yet. So if this thing goes to trial,
It's gonna go to trial. It has
imagine what
to.
that'll. We'll get a whole different take on who did these murders based on what we're seeing here. I mean, I really can't say definitively one or the other at this point until I see all of it.
If there's some truth to it, the FBI will have to get involved and clean house. If there's even a little bit of truth into any of that, the FBI will have to get involved.
I almost want the FBI to take over at this point. Like it's just been bungled so much, and there's like just even the hints of collusion or corruption. I'd want like an unbiased party to come in and take over.
Oh my god!
Like that South Park scene. Who's in charge here? I am. Not anymore. You're not. Well, what do you think ultimately? So, what do you think? Do you think it's Odinism? Do you think it's this Richard Allen guy? And again, based on what we've seen, I think for me to make a position one way or the other, I'd have to see all of the evidence because I can't make an informed decision at this point. Like we're only really hearing this from the defense's point of view. Like we haven't really given the state a fair shake because they've just been playing all of their cards close to the chest. We haven't heard what they've had to say.
Wrong. They played the cards wrong. Like what? So the reason why my sixth sense is leaning towards the defense being correct or have some sort of validity, maybe not the rune on the tree or whatnot, is because this motion was filed very quickly, and it was filed right after he confessed to the murder to his wife. And then the attorneys went to see him, and he was a complete different man. And the attorneys were like, "What? Who is this? That's not even my client." And so, whatever happened between that to the moment that they filed the motion, something happened. Something happened. The conversation was done. We don't know, but all that we know is that we have this 120 pages of allegations. That just seems so random to me. Is that and so specifically random that it cannot be specifically random, right? And that's why, because these lawyers will not just write frantically for no reason and then throw it at the judge. You know, the judge read all these 120 pages in one day because he was like, what? And you know, behind the scenes, a lot of stuff is going on. And I guarantee you the FBI also has asked to look at it 100%, because it's just too, that's why it was sealed. They were like, oh, wait a minute, keep it in-house, please. You know,
well,
what I mean?
The FBI was part of the investigation for a certain part of this. You know, it's like
but they left afterwards. But they left because there was a disagreement on protocol, right? That's huge.
Well, we don't know necessarily that the FBI left because of that, but it does very much seem like the FBI had kind of where they thought the case should go, and the state kind of had their thing, and that's, again, but we're speculating at this point, but it kind of feels like.
But all these allegations are easy fix, easy to check. You intimidated my client. Oh, did I? Where's the camera? Okay. Like, you know, all this stuff is so specific. Sat at earshot of.
Yeah, guys with camcorders recording him in front of the lawyer. Like, get out of here, man. I don't know about that.
Even correctional officer wearing the patch. All right, let me see.
Yeah, check the cameras.
It's so specific that you must have proof of it to put it on paper. So let me see, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of evidence. Otherwise, why would they put it like that? Like, it's not a good look for the defense person to just put something that's not true if they don't have.
Yeah, and to file something in court, they must have some sort of backing. Like, you don't just write something down on a piece of paper and turn it into court willy-nilly.
Turn it into court, yeah, right. Because, you know, that's just, I'm assuming these lawyers are smart enough to know better.
What do you guys think in the chat? Let us know. What do you think? Yeah. Do you think Allen or do you think Odinist? Do you think the state has it right, or do you believe the claims that it was an, you know, Odinistic sacrifice or whatever? I think it's far-fetched.
Odin, take me! Like, don't come here.
Oh yeah, there's that band Amon Amarth. They have a whole song about Odin. Odin's song. It's metal. Anyways, story for another day. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. You know,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
I think there are multiple killers. I absolutely do. You know, like I said, I can't firmly stake my position one way or the other, but the evidence from the get-go, it kind of lended itself towards multiple offenders. So, you know, until this goes to trial or we get another leak, this is where we're gonna have to leave it. But we'll definitely keep you updated if anything else comes out.
I'm still also very baffled that they haven't put railings on that bridge or rebuilt it.
Down, for Christ's sake.
Really? Can we make it better so nobody can fall through the cracks? Like, I don't understand how this bridge is still unsafe. Like, that's not
wrong.
Code. Come on.
Lucy's saying multiple killers premeditated, so she's kind of leaning towards the Odinistic angle. He's calling BS on the whole thing. So there we have differing opinions right there.
Bullshit. How about human shit? Bullshit doesn't hit as hard anymore. We've heard it so many times. It should be, I call HS human shit.
All right. Well, hey man, you want to chat?
I love it. Let's chat. Let's chat. Yeah.
You didn't do any prep work for today, did you?
No, I did not. Absolutely did not. Listen to me. Let's talk about you, because
I wrote this script for fucking 2 days. And you just literally rolled out of bed like, ooh, okay. Yes. Literally wearing your pajamas.
Pretty much. Did I brush my teeth? I did brush my teeth. I woke up. I didn't work because it's a stormy, raining all day today. It's perfect time to snuggle and.
It's also Saturday. It feels weird doing this on the weekend.
I work
doesn't
on
it?
weekends, so I work Saturdays. I
Yeah.
work 7 days a week, so I don't have that. It's the weekend.
Oh, you can't do that, man. You got to have at least one day off for yourself. I've learned that, like, again, just going through all this burnout or whatever, you have to give yourself one day to just F it. You know what I mean? I'm literally just going to lay, hands in pants with the one bag in the chip bag and just whatever,
No, I do. But sometimes I just can't escape. There's moments, situations where I just can't escape. Even when I do take the time off, even on vacation, sometimes I can't escape. As much as I would love to, depending on the situation, I have to be somewhat present. Yeah, it's okay. I'm retiring when I'm 45. I mean, all of that stops when I'm 45 in 10 more years. 10 more years. 10 more years.
Good for you. That's early retirement date. Charlotte says no stick people theater. No, I couldn't do stick people theater on this. It was too gruesome.
Yeah,
we did the stick people theater on Cirilla, and one of our viewers got really upset. She ended up unsubscribing from my channel too. I felt horrible.
Oh, is that why you felt so bad?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that stick theater. That's the teenager, right?
Yeah, the head in the bucket.
She got so upset that she right?
Left my Discord and everything. Yeah, I felt terrible.
What was her reason? What did she say? Why?
She said it was offensive. That it wasn't sensitive to the way she put it is imagine being the parents of the victim and seeing that we were laughing at it, but we weren't laughing at the crime. It was just I don't know. I guess it is a little insensitive, but. So yeah, I don't think doing stick. I know I love stick figure theater too. Lucy says I love stick theater. There are times for it, like we did it with Daryl, and we'll definitely have cases coming up that we'll be able to do it again. But I think there are some cases where it's not appropriate, and especially cases surrounding minors is something that I just am not comfortable doing.
But they were not
again. What?
No, so to your defense, I understand what she's saying. She has a right to say what she's saying, but I remember that very, very, very clearly. I don't think it was super offensive, and I'll tell you why. Because you didn't say anything that was super. Oh, I just saw Pupa's comment. Anything that was wrong or malicious. The funny part is the stick figures. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we weren't laughing at the crime. We were laughing at the stick figures, but the stick figures were based around somebody actually getting their head cut off.
Hey, listen, don't feel so bad about it. People.
We've actually we've made amends since, but at the time I felt really bad. And like you're about to say, people unsubscribe at the drop of a hat. And no matter what you do, people are going to be offended and get pissed.
Drop of a hat.
I mean, it's the internet, It's like the old saying, when people wear a mask, they show you their real face, and it's meant to say that as when people can hide behind anonymity, they show you their true selves. So like keyboard warriors, right, when they are able to hide behind an avatar, you find out who they really are because they just. They send hate, and this is terrible. I fucking hate it. So people get loud when they don't like something. They really like saying they don't like it. And I don't.
But
I don't understand it.
But listen, do you know what speaks volume to me? And I'm glad you made amends. But the thing that I can't really compute is that I disagree with people all the time. But even a situation when that's like super, super like hard, yeah, you could disagree. But to go unsubscribe and then unsubscribe there, it's such an impulsive. This is my opinion. Please don't throw tomatoes. I'll dodge them all anyway. It's such an impulsive thing to me that that it's going to happen again. So I hope, because you cannot be perfect. You cannot please everybody. You're going to do something in the future that will probably upset that person, and she will do the same. And I hope that you are safeguarding your mental health so you don't spiral when that happens. Because now I remember you were not feeling so great, and I had no idea. I remember the time frame when you were having situations. So that was it. I mean, in addition to many other things, safeguard yourself, my friend. Protect yourself. Make sure you always come first. people are going to unsubscribe. And
Lucy brings up a good point here. It leaves no room for conversation. I mean, that's literally how we start each show. Is if you don't have an open mind, get the fuck out, because we don't.
Yeah, get out.
Like, I just don't want to be pigeonholed by that. Like, you either have my opinion or I hate you. Like, I just.
That's right.
Gave her
opinion and then left. That's not a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of steps too. You know what I mean? Like, that was the part of it that was like, if I'm offended by something or I don't like, I just click off and I go about my day. You know what I mean? But like to go out your way and write like a long mean comment and then unsubscribe and then go to another channel and unsubscribe, it's like you're giving me a lot of energy. Like just move about your life. I don't know.
And you know what else?
Again,
I understand you guys mended, so I don't want her to be mad at you. So, lady, it's me, okay? Or man, it's me. Do you know what else? What else it says? It says that that everything she agreed with before, or everything that was good before, didn't mean anything. So she's there's a she or he. I don't know if it's she or he. Like, or at the moment, you don't want at the moment friends. No.
Yeah. Well, the way they said it when we made amends was like, I just overreacted, and they apologized, like, so that it was like, hey, just kind
Let me rewind my.
Okay. Just to be fair, to give the whole story, you know what I mean? That was how it was talked about. It was like, oh, I didn't mean to be the like old lady in the room or whatever, but she never resubscribed, and I haven't talked to her since, and she was like a friend too. You know, I mean, ultimately. There are fans that have turned into friends, but I meet these people and they do kind of become, if not friendly,
you get connected. I see that all the time. You get connected. You get connected. So I see why it hurts, and it will hurt. Which is why I'm like, if you guys were connected, you would have a conversation, like Lucy said. It's not a scolding moment. It's like, hey, I didn't agree with that. I didn't like that. Okay. It's not like fuck you, fuck your mother, I'm out of here. Like, it's like, oh my god, what happened?
I have to kind of take a grain of salt with my own emotions about the whole thing too, because like we're in content creation, so we're uber sensitive to it, right? Like we get a mean comment and we always say like, well, what the fuck? Like, why are these people doing this? But I remember pre-content creation, I never left mean comments, but I do remember like leaving comments on stuff just like, this is dumb or whatever, you know what I mean? And just like trying to talk to people in the comments. It wasn't like thinking to myself, oh, this person's ever going to read it. It's more like I'm talking to the people in the chat. And it's like, why would you, or I don't even remember what I said, but I do remember at a time and place just being like, this is so stupid. Why would you do something like that or whatever? And so like, as much as now that I make content creation, like I would never do that now because I know there's a person behind that video making the stuff that would be offended by that. But at the time I wasn't able to connect those dots, you know what I mean? It was just, this was a video I was watching and the comment section was a place to discuss.
I see what you mean. I never left negative comments. I never do because people read it and
I would never now.
But you're right, because as content creator, when we see the negative comments, it hits a little bit different. Yeah, of course. But again, we have to put. That's how I look at it. Is like they don't know. They don't know. So to them, they might be talking to somebody else, but you creating, you see it and it stings. Oh yes, it does. I mean,
most of the time when we talk about a comment, we're not, the mean comments we're talking about are usually like directly at us, like they're talking about us as people, and that's when it really hurts. Like, me saying, I think even when I did it, it was like, this movie is stupid or so. I don't remember what the hell it was, but it wasn't about like a specific person. It was, anyways.
Yeah. Every day when I edit, which is very little, but even when I speak, because I try not to offend anybody, it's really damper my language and all that stuff, because like I don't want to offend someone. That's important. So if I go in there with the mindset I don't want to offend anybody, and then if you get offended from that, then I went in there trying not to offend. Sorry. It's tough.
I live my life by the same principle, and it sounds so cheesy, but I always tell myself like, I'm a big Elvis fan, and I always say to myself like, don't be cruel. And it's
Yeah,
such
be
a
cruel.
fucking easy thing. And again,
Mm.
like it sounds kind of cheesy, like you're quoting an Elvis song, but like it's just such an easy thing to live your life by. Like just don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like so much of the problems of today's world, you know, is surrounding if people would just stop being fucking assholes to each other, like
Mhm.
you know, racism, homosexual, you know, homophobia or whatever,
Yeah.
war, like everything out there. If people would just stop being fucking assholes, it would all go away. You know what I mean? If we could just
It's because we're not loved enough. Most people are not
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
enough. I guarantee if there was enough recognition, enough hugging, enough it sounds snappy, but if there was enough of that, people would feel more full, and people wouldn't be vying for attention, so to speak, and make a statement.
Yeah, I think you're probably right to a certain extent that some of it is, you know, to a certain level, a symptom of somebody that's struggling in their own way. You know, and as much as I try to be sympathetic to that, there are just some fucking straight up.
And there are some
out
people
there.
who are just straight at DSCKs. Okay.
I don't mean to swear so much. I don't know. I'm like cursing like a sailor because I get excited about it. Like it upsets me. People out there that are just hateful. It's I see them all the time. Everywhere I go, they're just like, what's
Yeah.
wrong with you, man?
Yeah, it's quite exhausting. That's one thing I love about getting older. Oh, I just stay home and nobody.
I know. I know. You preach to the choir. I work from home. All I do is YouTube. It's like beyond taking my dogs out 3 times a day. I really don't get out that much, and I fucking love it. Especially now that I'm single and I'm living alone, it's like, the problems have really come down too low.
I remember back in my younger days, not that long ago, but like 2013, I used to do 12-hour days, working like a dog, and it wouldn't bother me. Now, if I do 4 hours straight, I'm like, oh God. Oh my God, somebody, what's happening? I can't even do.
I work from home in my PJs, and same thing. I work like 4 hours straight. It's like, oh God,
I don't know how I did it. Talk to everybody, cartwheels, backflip, front flip, splits. I was just like, hello.
Oh man, dude, I
Now,
worked construction for 10 years. I mean, when I was out in Hawaii, I worked 2 jobs and whatever just to afford living out there.
Wow.
There were times where I was working overnights after working an 8-hour day construction cooking, and it was literally like 16-hour days, fucking like 6 days a week. I have no idea how I did that. Like now that I'm older and I'm just like accustomed to my own schedule, I'm too soft. Like I become jelly.
Yeah.
Like
we've lost the grit. Grit is a skill. We've lost the grit.
Physically and emotionally too. Like I'm finding myself even like crying at certain things. It's just I'm becoming like this. I think
cry
it is just partly getting older. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It makes me soft. Like the other day, I was watching this documentary. Oh, and the baby impala was eaten. I was like, no, you murderous bastard! That would never have happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. It's the new me. Take it, leave it, throw it in the garbage, eat it, swallow it. Who cares? It's
I can relate, man. I was watching a video on, I think it was like TikTok, and it was about this bear that was in a zoo in like the bear cage or whatever. And people were throwing food to the bear, and you know they put their hands up and they get little treats, and then they do like a little bear clap. It's adorable. And they introduced this one new bear into the bear environment, and the head bear like kicked him out. So he was kind of off to the side, like too shy to ask for food anymore because he was scared that he was going to get bullied by Big Bear. And people just started tossing food to him anyways. And I literally like started to well up over this fucking stupid bear that was getting just down there. But anyways, it's ridiculous how soft I've become in my older age. I can only imagine having a kid. It would like take it to a whole new level.
Yeah. It makes you super soft. Yeah. It's like I saw my client yesterday night, and I was saying to him, I was like, what tip would you say? Because I have a heart. When Olympia cries, it hurts me. Like I get a physical pain, and I don't know how to say. I don't know how I'm going to say no to her. It's going to be very difficult. She's going to run circles around me. She'd be like, "My daddy give me whatever I want anyway." Like, look, she's going to be.
Gonna have you wrapped around your finger. That's for
such
sure.
a brat. Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to be powerless. It's quite ridiculous. I have to start working on this. But Yeah,
Yeah, that would scare me because I wouldn't know how to walk that line of wanting to spoil my kid, but also not wanting to raise like a spoiled brat. You know what I mean? Like I'd want to just give them the world, but at the same time, if they're not getting things for themselves and like learning their own experiences, it's like that's how you build character.
Yeah. And then when she cries, she looks at you with the eyes like, "You did this to me."
Yeah, I'd be done, dude. Yeah, if I had a daughter, it's anything, I'd fucking move mountains.
I feel bad for her boyfriends though. They have to deal with me. Chris is more reasonable. I'm like, I want you to know that I got a private detective. And I know everything about you and your parents. Don't play with me, okay? I need her back here at 11. And no sex, you understand me? Perfect. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Lucy says there's an element of laughing in order to be able to deal with difficult things. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, when I get angry, Biffy, when I get angry at you, you wouldn't know I'm mad at you because I'll be making jokes and laughing. You'd be very confused. I don't think it will happen, but because I giggle and I laugh, that's just my stress response. It's laughter, and people are like, "Are we fighting?" I have to do a disclaimer. All right, we're fighting, and then I go like this, and then you're like, "We are?" Yes. And then you're like, okay, yeah, it's weird.
Oh, that's a good mantra to have, though. It just means you have a positive outlook that you can even take something where you're frustrated or angry and just turn it into a.
I make a disclaimer. I'm like, we got to talk. I'm not happy, and they go, and then it's funny because
that's a beautiful skill to have, man. No, for real, to be able to be that positive is a very rare thing. So you should be proud of yourself. I mean, seriously. Dealing with anger is something that a lot of people struggle with. I've known a lot of people that it consumes them to where they can't think or do anything straight because they're so fucking angry.
I'll tell you one last thing, and then I have to wrap this up. So, and I do that with my heteros friend, and they hate every second of it, but they have to do it. So, I don't argue anymore, really. But when it did happen, and when it does happen very rarely once in a while, I try to find a resolution because obviously you're my friend, and there's a reason why you're my friend. So I'm not tossing you to the side. So we have to find a resolution. And at the end of it, you know what I do? I force you, because I'm okay with it. We have to have contact. We don't have to hug each other, but we have to have contact. I touch you appropriately, and you count to 20. Try it. I know, Beefy. I know it's like if you ever get into a fight.
It sounds really corny. I'm not gonna lie, but I bet it does to a certain extent probably work.
It sounds corny. Listen, as the person counts to 20, you'll end up laughing. I guarantee it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you end up laughing, and that's a great way to,
laughing. Just picturing it.
Yes, it gets a laughter, and then you could just. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl walk away with a light heart. It works every time.
Beautiful cover girl.
It works every time. It's a trick, guys. I know the heteros are like, don't touch me. No, it's not a sexual thing. Put your hand on the other person, and the other person counts to 20. And then by the time you get to like 10, you start giggling. And then all that stress disappears. And then, okay, not only do we resolve a solution, but now we're happy. Ta-da! Because sometimes you might get a resolution, but the person doesn't feel like they got what they really wanted, so they go a little sourpuss, sour grapes. But you get a good laughter in after you find a resolution, and then you go home super happy.
I hear what you're saying about the arguing thing too. I'm finding myself in my older age, like when people, because a lot of people sometimes even stupid stuff, they'll try to argue with you about like something they might not even know that much about. Like I've had arguments with people where like I know that I'm right, and I know like in my soul that I'm right. But I won't even like go to the depths of, because some people they'll like, no, you're wrong, and like could be complete back and forth. But I'll just like okay, man, like agree to disagree. It's just like it's not worth it for me to sit there and bicker. Like it's pathetic.
Beefy, my friend.
Yeah, I know. You got to get going. You got to get back to sleep, right? You got
No. It's I found out yesterday that you guys cannot hear, but Olympia is screaming and Christopher is stomping his feet. When Chris is stomping his feet. Oh
yeah. Once he starts to stomp, it's all over with.
It's honestly it's like clockwork. It's magic. He says he doesn't, but he heel strikes when he's annoyed, and all I hear is his heels hitting the parquet over there. Thump, 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 thump. Yeah, so I need to go and
He's
relieve
probably
him.
doing it deliberately to let you know that he needs help.
No, even when we were dating, I was like, "What's wrong with you?" Thump, 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 thump.
Ah.
Yeah. Thump, 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 and it's loud. Thump, 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 thump.
Well, this was a good show, guys. Thanks so much for
Was a
coming
great-
today.
Yes, I'll take us out. Thank you so much for watching,
Oh,
guys.
no, hold on. You got to give us our final thought before we go, man. We
I
got
thought we
a
were
whole
doing-
ritual here.
Oh, that's right. I thought we were doing the final thought. Okay, fine.
The final thought.
I just saw the comment from Charlotte. I find it so funny when 30-year-olds speak like grandpa. Is that us?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that's definitely us.
There's nothing better than
Well,
being
when you're
grandpa. Oh, God.
when you're 30, you really start to get hit with like I am
Reality.
aging. You know, like when you're in your 20s, you're still like, oh, I'm young, I can do whatever you want. But you check that box of 30 and older, and it's like, oh, I'm on the way.
You make that very good point. Yeah. Anyway, everybody's healthy here, but it's just my mother is just, she's healthy and great. It's just she looks very different, and so I'm more aware of. Anyway, it just sucks at this moment.
I remember you saying that every time you see your mother, that you can
just-
tell that she's getting older. Yeah.
It's insane how quick it is. It's like, I just saw you last month. What do you mean? Like, how can that look so different? It's just literally 4 weeks later. What is happening?
You seem to be struggling to come up with a final thought here. Would you like me to take over for you, friend?
Yes, please. Oh my God. Anytime, darling. I love yes.
So, in relation to what we're talking about and how we're all getting older or whatever, a lesson that I am learning in my life right now is to literally just take everything one day at a time. And I'm at a point now where I'm literally just getting by 15 minutes at a time because I'm struggling. Sobriety is something that's very difficult for me as of late, and it wasn't for a while there. It was like I wasn't thinking about it, and it was just easy. It was like just living my life. I was living rather than getting by, and I'm very much not in that place anymore. And it is easy to just try to live one day at a time, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you realize that it's not. So even if it might seem like you're getting older or whatever, you still have a tomorrow, and that is a beautiful thing, because there's a lot of people out there, millions that don't, that are dead and gone, and they probably left a lot of regrets. So our final thought for this week will be to just worry about today, because tomorrow will be a whole new thing, and when you go to sleep and you wake up, you'll have forgotten about whatever your problem was from the day before. So there you go.
Beefy, can I add something to that?
Yes, of course, friend.
And I tell you all the time, I do have a busy life to the hour, but don't let it stop you to send me a message. I'll get the message, I will process the message within 24 hours, and I will text you back as to when I'm able to call you.
I know,
And
man. I appreciate you.
I don't want you to feel like just because I do cartwheels and backflips and front flips and splits all the time that I'm not available for you. Do you
Well,
understand
to be
me?
perfectly honest, like I have my support group. Like I have people that I go to when I'm struggling, and like when I need it right then. Like sometimes even just 15 minutes to wait for a text, that could be the difference of life and death, because it could be me going to use and overdosing or whatever. So
I see. So then in that case, you could use me as your trump card. And you could say,
for sure.
you could say, emergency, motherfucker. Okay. And I would step out and I'd be like, hello, hi, squirrel.
Well, I also know with you too that we're gonna have our once a week chat, and I'll have time with you to kind of get all of my stuff out. So I know that, hey, like if I'm struggling with whatever, I think to myself like, oh, I'm gonna see him Thursday, whatever, for the podcast. I'll tell him then. You know what I mean? But I absolutely do think like, oh, because there have been times where I've been struggling and I've thought to reach out and like, oh, I could call Alistair, and I end up.
You can.
Yeah, and I know that. You tell me all the time, and I really appreciate that. I love that about you, man.
Yeah, I'll pause for a minute to make sure it's not like an emergency. And if it's not a super emergency, I say, okay, well, give me like an hour at the most, like an hour.
Yeah.
I'll try to wrap it up 10 minutes early, so I squeeze and give you a call for 10 minutes. And then I'll schedule another time where I could call you for longer,
I got you, babe. I appreciate you.
Thank you, babe.
All right. Take us home, Mr. Alistair.
Oh, thank you so much for watching. Oh, we're such idiots. Nah, he's just a squirrel. Look at that.
We have fun on this show.
Yeah, we have good fun. You guys are all amazing. Everybody here, all the replay crew, thank you so much. A ton, and a ton. Without you, Beefy, without them, we're not here.
We love you. We love you. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, Alicia's here. She made it. She's sick. Everyone give better wishes to Alicia. She feels better. She's got a fever, poor thing.
Oh no! Is it the flu? Because it's going around.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I got a friend that works at a pharmacy, and she said that it's been busier out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
Oh
so,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Drink your orange juice. Take your vitamin C or your emergency or whatever, because it's the sickness is rising.
Whoa.
That's disturbed. I sang it Richard Cheese style. Anyways, yes. Take us home.
Bye.
We love you guys. See you next week.
Oh, Beefy.
End transmission.
Thank you for watching.
How